All right, guys, so what we're going to be looking at is this kind of L-shape isometric. Again, as we look at these, some of the first things that I want to do as I look at this is I want to make sure that I understand what I have. So if I go through and I color a little bit of this in, we use green for the front. So I can see that I have these two pieces that are not connected. So that in my head, I should know that I'm going to have some kind of change line, some lines that I see. We use red for the right. So as I color that in, again, I can see that these two red pieces are not connected. So that's, again, going to tell me that there's going to be some kind of solid change line between those. And then we'll use blue for our top. And once again, we notice that those two blue pieces are disconnected. So as we go through, we want to make sure that we're viewing everything and taking all these different pieces of it in as we get to start working. I'm going to start off with the front side of this. So when we look at this, I'm going to draw the green. As I go to do this, I want to pay attention. So this, remember, we're taking a three-dimensional shape, turning it into a two-dimensional. So we're only going to be drawing what we see in green. We're not going to see what's blue or red when we're looking at it straight on. So I can see that I have the two blocks coming across the base. Coming up the left side of this, there's the three blocks. So yes, they're at different layers, but remember, when we look at that straight on, the lines are going to tell us that there's a different layer to it, not the drawing itself as in terms of seeing like that blue piece in there. So it is 9 high. And then this one tower is only 3 of those units, 3/4 inches. And then 3/4 inches of it has nothing behind it. So I'm going to come over here to the front. We're going to set our drawing station up. I'm using black. I'm going to pick a intersection, and that base of it went 6/4 inches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The left side we said went up 9. I'm going to just slide this down a little bit to make sure I have enough space. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So again, I'm holding shift down before I start drawing, and that's going to help me get that straight line. I went to 125%. Typically, I go to 150, but just to be able to move around the paper a little bit easier, I'm going to work with it there. It goes over 3. But then this is where we have to pay attention, because when we go back to our image, notice when I come down, I'm only coming down those 2 linking cubes, which is 6/4 inches, and then it stops. So I want to be mindful of that, because then it changes direction and it goes out to the right. So we go down our 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then it goes out to the right, the 3/4 inches, and then back down 3/4 inches. Now that's our outline right there. Now we have to take into account those pieces that we see the change. Well, we know that those green pieces separated between the lower portion, that kind of arm, and then that tower. So we know there is a separation there. Now from this view alone, we don't know if the top part is closer to us or further back. All we know is that there is a change there. The depth of those two pieces are not at that same level. The other piece that we have to take account is that empty block. So on the left side of this block continues, and there's another one right behind it. So there's no change behind this first block. But on the right side, there is no block here. So before you get to the back of the shape, there's a change, and we need to account for that change. So what we use there is our dotted line. So I'm going to draw this dotted line to signify that between these two spaces, between these two sections, something changes. And if we look at this, we could kind of determine what's going on, that we have this tower, so that we could probably just think that there's a piece behind here that goes all the way up, and then there's just nothing behind this front piece here. That is our front side. that it's all we have to do. Everything is there. So then it really doesn't matter which side you move to, whether you go to the right or the top. I always start with the front though, because that's the one that has to align. That's going to be your key piece. That's the center, because the top aligns with the front and the right aligns with the front. So that front is going to be the key one that we want to do. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the right side. And as I look at this again, I can see that there's two cubes in this depth. So it's going to have the 6/4 inches along the base. And then it's got these 9/4 inches going up along the right-hand side. So this is going to look very similar. One of the key things that we want to do is make sure that as we are going from the front to the right, that we are using the same line. So you can kind of see here that when I match this up, the lines that I have here are the line, those dotted lines where my front, the base is, and the front, the top of it is at. So now as we start getting further into this, we want to be able to continue with our drawing. So I'm going to go back to drawing, click on my marker. I'm going to start at an intersection. And again, at that base, we went 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we had, when we looked at this, the right side of that is that one that goes up the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It came back across. We can see it comes over 3, down 6, and then it's going to come back over 3, and then down 3. So left 3, down 6, left 3, down 3. So starting from this point, left 1, 2, 3, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, left 1, 2, 3, and then down 3. So you can see it almost mirrors. That's not always going to be the case, but for this one it is. And at this point, we can check our two key pieces. It does match at the base. It does match at the height. The other thing that we can start to notice is, look right here. Notice that this layer matches. So everything that we have, all of those sizes should perfectly line up. They do. So we know that we've got that portion of our drawing properly aligned. Let's go ahead and get rid of these lines now. We don't leave those there. Get back to our drawing. So now we look up at the right. Now the right, there's nothing hidden, so we don't have to worry about that. But we do have this section right here that these two reds are not connected. Everything in the tower, those 3 blocks, are all one connected red piece. They're all one flat surface. And then we have this other one over here. So we just separate those out with our solid line because that's a change that we see. That's a change that occurs as we look at this. We've got our front, we've got our right. Both of those are drawn and completed. So now we just have to go back and finish up our top view. Just like the right, we want to kind of start picturing those lines. Where is it that the front and top have to line up? So we just follow the lines going up. So that should be the width of the top. So it should, the left side should be over here. The right side should end on that line if we do this properly. And we would see, if we want to do that other line, we would see that there's going to be some kind of change on this line right here. And that's going to be that change of where that tower is compared to the width of that arm. So now I'm going to just scroll up so I can see these 3 lines here. And I can also see my isometric with the blue over here. So when we look at the top view, in our head, we have to picture looking at it from the front and then turning it down so the green front is actually on the bottom of the image. If I do that, then my base is this piece right here. The base is where the front and the top come together. So it has this section that if I look at is a 6/4 inch by 3/4 inch rectangle. And we can see that that's one chunk of blue. So we could draw that out. And for some of you, maybe this is a path that you like to go, is where you would draw it by the chunks. So we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And look at that. It does match up with those two lines. So we know that we have that piece right. It goes by a height of 1, 2, 3. Or excuse me, technically that's a depth. We come back our 6 and then down our 3. And now what we have is this lower top chunk that is represented. We have the tower. The tower starts on the left side, and it's just a 3x3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we have our two chunks that we have there. You can see, look at this line right here. This line comes up, and that's representing that tower piece right there. So that's the width of the tower. From the outside lines, that's the width of that lower arm. There's no change that we don't see underneath the tower blue, and this blue, there's no change under that. So we've got the separation there by doing it in the chunks. We already have that separation. So now our drawing is complete. I'm going to back out of this so we can fit it on the page. I'm going to erase our little guide help lines here. And there we go, guys. There's our multi-view for this isometric.